I want to give to orphans this amount. I want to give to random people. I love giving to random people. You should try it. It is not only fun, but it is just uplifting. Hello and welcome to On Your Lane. This is the best place for ambitious people who are taking charge of their lives. They want to make more money and they want to make more impact and they want to live a fulfilling life. If that is you, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about something that is exciting for me. It's an exercise that I just did and I enjoyed it. It's interesting to me that I never did it sooner. This is ideal budgeting. I'm calling it ideal budgeting because you know how when we're doing budgets and plans, everything usually comes from what makes sense. So what did you do last year? And then you might say, okay, I made $10,000 in a month last year. This year I'm going to aim at a little bit higher. We're usually having a foundational logical basis and increasing on it. That's the usual budgeting that we do. So even when you have ambitions for your business, for your personal life, for running, for fitness, whatever it is, you look at what I've done so far and then you go like, okay, so how can I better it? And so you have your foundation already set and you just build on it. Now, this ideal budgeting thing came up when I was attending some class and I was challenging myself to think, what am I working hard for? What does the ideal life look like for me? So I started thinking about the things that I want, the things that when I say I want, scare myself and I don't want to think about them. There are things that I want that I think this is just maybe too much. But then who decides what's too much? Who decides what lifestyle I live? I do. And depending on what I want, I will get. You understand that? And when you understand that if you are putting a high demand on yourself, you can get more results. If you're willing to be diligent, to have ambition and pursue and execute, you will have more results. Then there is no limit. Your budget doesn't have to be what is logical. Your ambitions and what you want from life doesn't have to be what makes sense. Does that make sense? All right, so let me take you through this process that I did. First of all was understanding and asking myself, why do I feel that I'm entitled to some things and I am not entitled to other things? So when I say I want to make $100,000 a month in my business, what does that do for you? So many people feel like, oh, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't. That's too much. Why is it too much? Is it because I can't earn it? Is it impossible? And who decides what's possible or not? Because really, when I went through this whole biography reading, I went through that phase where I was reading about successful people, I found out there were people just like you and me. Only they had ridiculous goals and ambitions and belief in themselves. The limits that you put for yourself, those are your choices. You can change those things. And so I want you to think about, why do you have these limits? Where do they come from? Sometimes it's your parents who say, have you ever seen anybody in your family do that? Have you ever seen anybody in your field do that? You are not like anybody else in your field. So you are allowed to dream. You're allowed to have ambition. So the challenge will just be, are you going to back up that ambition with work ethic, with a plan, with a system, with the support you need? Are you willing to do the work? If you're willing to do the work, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. So I love goal setting. I love everything it entails. I will link a few of my favorite videos on purpose planning, where you plan with the purpose in mind, not just planning randomly. I'll also link another video, which is my system for monthly planning. These are powerful tools, but I want to challenge you that as you're planning, think beyond what is sensible, think beyond what makes sense, think beyond what you see around, and ask yourself those tough questions. Why do I put these limits? Is it possible that these are breakable? Is it possible that these are my choices and I can change that choice if I want to? If you are new here, I would like to let you know that we are about more. We are about more. I grew up in Africa, Malawi. It's a small country. We see a lot of poverty around, but I have read so many stories of people who have broken out. That Goliath David story is always exciting, isn't it? So for me, being in this space, more is not a luxury. More is not like something I just have to randomly think about and think, oh, maybe I can have more or not. It's, for me, essential because I have the power to change the trajectory of generations that come after me. The line between poverty and prosperity is not so blurred. It is so clear from this side. So it's important for me to move away from what is acceptable, what is okay, what is just fine, to prosperity. And when I do that, I carry so many people with me. So wanting more is not just for fun for me. Wanting more is essential because there are lives that rely on my growth, on my prosperity. There are many people who have sacrificed for me to go to school. Many people who have worked for me to be in a peaceful country. There's so much that is at stake. And so if you're here, you should want more. If you have more, there is still more. This is not a greed thing. This is an impact thing. This is a generational impact thing. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. I want more. You should want more. We can be more. We should be more for ourselves and for the people who are looking up to us, who are counting on us. It doesn't have to be your children or your relations. It is just people who are in our environment. You know, sometimes you are growing up in poverty and you meet one person who has come from the same humble beginnings as you, and you're like, how did you do this? And that is enough to change everything about how you think, what you want out of life. When I read so many stories about Africans, about people in the Bible, about people elsewhere in the world, I see a lot of humble beginnings. And those humble beginnings didn't put a ceiling on how far these people were going to go and how much they were going to achieve. The people I know, I shouldn't even know them. I shouldn't know Jeff Bezos. I shouldn't know Steve Jobs. I shouldn't know Isaac Newton. I shouldn't know all these people. But I do because they have done amazing things and their humble beginnings didn't matter. Their humble beginnings didn't matter. And you and I being in this space where we have all this information around us, we have all these examples, we can look beyond our environment and even be inspired by people who have achieved big things beyond us. And then we can come with that. It's not a greed thing. I want you to want more. We must want more. We must do more for us and for those who are counting on us. So now that we have established that more must happen, I want you to do this exercise. Because sometimes it's easy to just say, I want more. But do you know what more looks like? I'm clear about my goals. I am so clear about what I want to build, what I'm building in my business, what I'm building around me. But I never did this exercise where I was being clear on what more looks like. So when I think about me in 20 years, it's a big dream. But I want you to think about the ideal current situation. So if your bills were being paid, if you had the luxury of maybe DSTV, internet, Wi-Fi, cars paid, whatever it is, fuel, all these things. If you had all this, enough to be fine, and then to start thinking beyond you, what would that look like? So sometimes you think, well, I can't think beyond my family because my family is surviving on the bare minimum. So how can I start thinking about helping other people? And that makes sense. You want to be able to care for you and your household, and then from the abundance that you get from there, expand. But does abundance have a number? Do you know what abundance looks like? So I went through this exercise. Let me take you through it. It's quick, it's fun. It was fun for me and very enlightening for me as well. Let's do this. First of all, what's the lifestyle that you want? What is the lifestyle that you want? Are you going on holidays quarterly? Are you eating out maybe twice a week? Are you having internet limitless at your house? Are your clothes and your food not an issue at all? Like you have enough? Do you not lack anything? What does that look like for you? So ideal lifestyle. Again, for me, every time I budget from what makes sense. So I know what I pay for my groceries. I know what I pay for my internet. I know what I pay for all these things. So I just meet those goals. And if there is an increase of need, I just cut out that increase and that's it. So now I was thinking, what would it look like for me to have limitless internet? What would it look like for me to have all the groceries I want? You know, sometimes you go shopping and you're like, I can't go to that superstore. I have to go to that other store. But you enjoy the experience of going into that superstore. What does it look like for you? What does the budget look like for you to go to that superstore? So these are questions I'm asking you so that you can be comfortable. You can be just happy with what you're doing, happy with where you're buying your groceries. You're not looking at, okay, the difference is 200 but you're here. Oh, should I leave this and run to get at the cheaper place or anything? No, you are getting into the ideal shop that you want to get in. You're getting everything that you need. You're not being like wasteful or anything. But you know how it is? You're like, I want 2 boxes of milk, but should I get 2 or 6, like you want 12 boxes. That's what makes sense for your family, but you are here negotiating because you have limits. So I want you to remove those limits and put your budget for your groceries, your budget for your utilities, your budget for your internet if you need that, your budget for your DSTV, your clothes. Do you want holidays? Do you want to travel locally, internationally? Do you want to just have maybe vacation with you and your spouse? Maybe you want to take your parents out. These are things that you can think about. And sometimes we don't because our money doesn't allow us to think that way. Beyond this, also think, is there something that I want to give to? You want to give to church? One thing that moves me is when I'm in church and the pastor says, to finish this building, we need 30 million kwacha, and I know I can't give towards that. So that's something I know I want to give towards. I want to give prominently towards that. So you can put your ideal figure. I want to give to church at least this amount. This is my tithe, and this is my excess giving. I want to give to orphans this amount. I want to give to random people. I love giving to random people. You should try it. It is not only fun, but it is just uplifting. It is really uplifting when you see somebody you know is struggling. You can see they're struggling. You see they're not even begging. They're not asking for money. And you just go and say, God bless you. May he take care of all your needs. May you know that he loves you. And you just give them an envelope of money that they could have earned maybe in a whole month on their own. And they look at you and they're panicking. I had this person, this other woman, I just went for a walk. I'm not talking about this to brag, but I'm encouraging you to think outside the box in what you want to do, in giving and in just blessing other people, because the Bible says he who blesses others will himself be blessed. He who waters others will himself be watered. So intentionally watering others, not just waiting for church or maybe when it's Christmas and you're giving to orphans, but just putting it in your budget, a monthly budget, to say, I want to be able to give to orphans. I want to give randomly. One time I went for a walk and I decided to take some money in my pocket. I was like, I'll meet somebody and I'll be moved to give them. So I'll just give them this money. So I had like 3 bunches of money. I'm not going to say how much. It was substantial for me, but I put it in 3 different places. I was like, I'm going to walk and I'm going to bless 3 people. So the first person that I met, she looked hardworking. And I woke after 5. So people are knocking off from their day jobs and everything. And this woman had a bottle of water on her head and she was carrying so many things. She was obviously coming from working like a household employee. So I stopped her and said, wow, you look really hardworking. I just want to bless your life. She looked at me and said, why? And I was like, I just feel like you're hardworking and I just want to support you. He's like, what church do you go to? Why are you doing this? I was like, God has blessed me. And being a woman, I understand your situation, just how hard you're working and how you want to make things work for you. So I just want to bless you. She took the envelope and looked at me and said, God bless you. God bless you. And then I was like, thank you. And I walked away. I didn't want to look back, but she stood there staring at me. I turned and she was still there. And I could see the impact. She hadn't even seen how much it was yet. But that's just a blessing, you guys. And you can't care for God's children like that and God ignore you. We're not doing this so that we can bribe God or seek favors, but God cares for those who are in need. He says that in the Bible, that if you care for the least of these, people who are in prison, people who are in hospital, people who are in lack, people who are poor, if you care for these, you're caring for Jesus, you're caring for him, and he will reward you and he will remember you. It's so uplifting to be able to do that. Even if you have only 2,000 kwacha, that is life-changing for somebody else if it just comes. So if you have ambitions like that, put it in your budget, your ideal budget. How much would you want to do this? I watched some YouTube videos the other day. There was this couple. They have been blessed. They have made a bunch of money from YouTube and everything. But they just went to people's houses and they'll just ask, how much is the rent? And they paid for the rent. And that's all they did. And you would hear people cry. People are going through a lot in their homes. And you could make a difference by sparing a little bit of what you do. So for me, I also went ahead and said, okay, how do I want to randomly give? How much do I want to intentionally randomly give? Give to church, give to causes that move me. I also think it's pretty important to give to family. It can be people who are in need in the family, but just blessing parents, blessing your aunties, uncles, just buying somebody's groceries. I believe that as God sees you as a person who is generous, you are like a channel. He can use you to bless you more so that he can reach more people. So intentionally giving is not only fun, but also uplifting, and it is a channel for you receiving more from God as well. Another thing that I add on my ideal budget is travel. I'd love to travel first class with my family to different places. I love different food and cultures. I love learning about people, and I hate traveling on a budget. I hate going to places and budgeting and seeing how much I spend. I'd love to just freely eat, freely move, even freely give in foreign places. I love that. And so that is something that I put in my budget as well. Ultimately, what we're aiming for with this ideal budget is for you to not focus on what you eat, what you dress, and how you live your life. Like your daily living shouldn't be something that you pray and fast and cry to God for. That's why even the Bible says that pagans think about what they eat, what they drink, and what they wear. You shouldn't. You should just focus on the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And so for me, I used to think, okay, God doesn't want me to care at all. But then I've been learning that he wants me to care. But he has given me the capacity to operate at a level where my care is not about what am I going to eat? Do I have enough savings? Do I have enough this? My concern is who can I bless? What impact? Where is God moving? Who is in need? That is a possibility. And that is something that I want for me and also for you. And again, it's not about greed. It's not just about discomfort. Sometimes you feel guilty coming from a third world country and demanding limitless internet and stuff like that. But it's not about just greed. It's not about, it's you raising your standard of living, you changing your mindset to be okay with abundance. And as we are being okay with abundance, we're changing the narrative, not only for us, but for those people who are coming after us, for people who can see us, so that they can see somebody doing legitimate, proper work, legitimate, proper business, and they can see abundance, what abundance looks like, and they can be opened to say, this is a possibility. I can do this too. Because that is how we're going to transform our communities. That's how we're going to transform our lives. So it's really, really important that you and I are clear on what bothers us. What level, what is abundance? Because it's easy to say, I want prosperity, but what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? How much money should you be earning for you to say this is abundance? So I put my ideal budget in place. I put miscellaneous, which is basically money I want as change. That is basically what I want as change. And so I put all that in there. I put my tithe and my giving and my lifestyle and everything. I put it there, and the things that I hope to achieve but I never really planned for, like the travel itself, locally, even traveling, sponsoring like other people to travel. All those things are things I think about, and I never really get to plan for them because they're not directly connected to my business or directly connected to my day-to-day living. So after you put all this in place, what is the number that you get? You have to calculate taxes as well. So for me, 30% of what I own or make has to go to taxes, just like an estimate, but also the tithing, everything has to be in there. And my number came out to, drumroll please, it came up to 9,500,000. Yeah, 9.5 million kwacha, which is about $12,000. And if these numbers are scaring you, that is what I want, because that means you have ability to increase. You have a challenge to increase your capacity, because this is not crazy money. It sounds crazy money because of where we come from, where I come from, what I've been used to about money. But if you read about people and the wealth they make around the world, you'll be surprised that that is change for other people. So $12,000 for me is my net revenue that I need to live my ideal life. And then I sit with that, I look at it. It scares me at first, but I keep looking at it. And then I started customizing myself to it and thinking, okay, how can this happen? How much do I need to sell? How many clients do I need to have? What do I need? How do I need to position myself? How can I do this? Like, when you have a number like that, you can actually break down your system, your business, and then see what it means for you to get to that number. And when you can see what it means, when he says, okay, you need 50 clients every month, that is something you can work with, right? You have 5 clients now. You can say, okay, how can I increase my clients to get to 50 clients every month to get to my revenue goal? You see? So when you have a clear abundance number for your ideal budget, it will be half the work done. Then you have to get on the back of it and put the work ethic, the execution, the planning around it. But if you are looking at these numbers and hearing me speak and it sounds like wishful thinking, I want you to go into my library on YouTube or my podcast. There are links below. Even write me an email, tell me your thoughts, because I talk about capacity a lot. For me to be talking about these numbers, it's not something that just fell out of the sky. It's not just something random that I came up with, but it's been me doing work on my mindset about money, doing work on my value as a person, on my place in this world. What can I offer? How can I make money? How can I do business? Why do I want to live this way? What is the ideal lifestyle that I want? There's so many things that we have to educate ourselves and get knowledge about. And there's so many baggages, hindrances that are internal, hindrances that are from our environment and our communities that we have to identify and detach ourselves from it. Being a Christian, I believe God made me for a purpose. And when he made me for a purpose, he didn't leave me equipmentless. He didn't leave me unequipped. He gave me the equipment that I need to fulfill that purpose. And purpose is just value. What value do you bring to this world? And if you are clear on the value you bring to this world, you will make impact, you will create income. And that's how all these great, amazing people, who I shouldn't know because I'm in Malawi over here, but I know Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, I know Isaac Newton, I know all these people who have made an impact in life. Why? Because they saw the value they carried and they unleashed it upon the world. Being in a third world country puts me in a position where there's so much opportunity, there's so much uncultivated grounds, and therefore the potential for impact and wealth is tremendous. If you don't see it, again, I invite you to check my library and find something to start with, like my episode on self-awareness. It's a great one to start so that you can start unpacking why do you have these limits? Why do you have these blockages? Why do you think you can't make this much money? Why do you think you don't deserve to make this much money? Why do you think you can't have this amount of influence? Do you understand who is counting on you? The generations that are banking on you to break through. Because some of these poverty issues we're dealing with in the third world countries is not because we couldn't get out of poverty, but because there was someone with a mindset that was limited that stayed stuck in a certain place. And everybody who followed them stayed stuck in that same place. And because of this limited mindset, when somebody's trying to get ahead of us, we pull them back and say, we don't do that here. Stay here in this place. But our capacity for growth, our capacity for impact, all this uncultivated potential that exists in different markets, in different industries across Africa is amazing. And therefore, our growth is limitless. And the limitation is our mind, the limits that we choose for ourselves. So one thing that I discovered for me is I want to define my lifestyle. I want to travel. When I want to travel, I want to do work. I want to work hard at the things that I love and make an impact. But I want to live on my terms too. I want to be able to create. I want to be able to impact. I want to be able to define my limits. And that at the end of my life, I should be able to see that I had limits that I chose for myself, not limits that my parents chose for me or my community chose for me, where people tell you that, because I hear this a lot. Who have you seen in your family who has done this? And you're like, exactly. I'm trying to do it because nobody has done it. Because that's why we're poor. That's why we're struggling. And I also like the scripture in the Bible that says none of them was poor. None of them was poor. So all the Israelites at that time, none of them was lacking anything. And I take that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, if I am faithful with what God has given me, none of mine shall be poor. None of those connected to me shall struggle unless they choose to. But not because I can't help or support or employ or do something that God wants me to do in their lives. You get it? So that's about me and my ideal budget. The whole supporting mentality and mindset is big for me because I feel a responsibility, not only to myself, but to my generation and to my community. And so I want you to do this for you as well. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear from you. There'll be links in the description where you can get me on Instagram, you can email me, you can get me on Facebook. I love to connect with you. My name is Mavis Zaina Ganjadza. It's always a pleasure to connect with you. Before I leave, I'd like to invite you also, if you're a person who wants these things that I'm talking about, you want to see it, you want to be confident and bold in these things, but you don't know where to start. I want to invite you to join my Circle of Greatness program. It's a coaching program where we're going to know God more, know your purpose, and then use that to cultivate income and wealth, success that is meaningful to you. Everybody is designed to dominate a certain area and create impact and wealth. You are too. And if you don't know what that looks like, where to start, and you're curious about it and you want to learn more about it, get to the information in the description box, and let's get talking, let's get moving. Otherwise, we're going up. We are going up, and I hope you bring your cousins, sisters, let them all come here. Let's glow, let's grow, let's achieve, let's do great things. I have a new video every Tuesday, always talking about things that will up-level our lives, grow, achieve, and live our best lives. I can't wait to talk to you soon. All right, later. Bye-bye.